For years, the relationship between Phil Collins and Paul McCartney has been one of rock music's most intriguing untold stories. Two of the biggest names in modern music artists who have collectively sold hundreds of millions of records worldwide were once caught in a misunderstanding that developed into a feud lasting for years. Fans have long wondered whether the two legendary musicians would ever truly put the past behind them. Now, Phil Collins has finally revealed the full story. Looking back, he admits he regrets speaking publicly about Paul McCartney, even though he insists the incident genuinely happened. If given the chance, he says he would never have made those comments in public. The good news, however, is that this story finally has a happy ending. Phil Collins has confirmed that he and Paul McCartney have made peace. For Collins, the reconciliation represents far more than the end of an old disagreement. It closes a chapter of his life that had remained unresolved for over a decade. To understand how everything began, we have to go back around 10 years. Like millions of musicians around the world, Phil Collins grew up idolizing the Beatles. Paul McCartney was one of his greatest musical heroes, making what happened between them all the more disappointing. During one encounter, Collins asked McCartney to sign a book from his personal collection. Instead of the warm interaction he had expected, Collins walked away feeling that McCartney had spoken to him in a rather condescending manner. The experience stayed with him for years. In 2016, Collins finally spoke publicly about the incident during an interview, claiming that Paul McCartney had always treated him as though he was somehow beneath him. The comments quickly attracted international attention, fueling speculation that the two music icons had never truly got along, but that was far from the end of the story. Shortly after the interview was published, Paul McCartney contacted Collins directly by email. According to Collins, McCartney admitted he was disappointed by the remarks and responded by describing Collins as being a little too sacrosanct, a word Collins later joked he wasn't entirely sure he understood. Whatever the precise meaning, the exchange left both men with a bitter taste. Collins admitted the email made their relationship even more awkward, while McCartney was clearly hurt by seeing those comments made so publicly. For several years afterwards, neither of them addressed the issue again. Then life unexpectedly offered them a second chance. The opportunity arose when Phil Collins organized a charity auction featuring items from his personal memorabilia collection. After hearing about the event, Paul McCartney unexpectedly reached out. He telephoned Collins to offer an item for the auction in support of the charitable cause. What began as a simple phone call soon became the conversation both men had needed for years. Collins admitted he felt an enormous sense of relief when McCartney himself raised the subject of their disagreement. "I said, 'Thank God you've brought it up,'" Collins recalled. The conversation that followed was open, honest, and heartfelt. Collins acknowledged that although the incident had genuinely happened, he regretted making it public. Speaking directly allowed both men to realize that what had grown into a long-standing feud was, in reality, little more than a misunderstanding that had never been properly discussed. According to Collins, McCartney was pleased they had finally talked everything through. Collins felt exactly the same. For him, it was a wonderful feeling to see the story come full circle. A friendship that had been strained for years had finally been repaired. Despite their past disagreement, Phil Collins and Paul McCartney belong to one of the most exclusive clubs in music history. Only a handful of artists have sold more than 100 million records, both as members of a band and as successful solo performers. That extraordinary achievement has been reached by only 3 people: Paul McCartney, Phil Collins, and Michael Jackson. It is a remarkable testament to the enormous influence each of them has had on popular music across several generations. Yet, the most astonishing revelation Collins made had nothing to do with Paul McCartney. It was about his own battle for survival. In the same interview, Collins disclosed that he came dangerously close to losing his life in 2024. Fans had already been aware of his ongoing health struggles, including severe knee problems and diabetes. What few people knew, however, was that he had also fallen back into heavy drinking. Collins confessed that he would begin each morning with a glass of wine. That, he admitted, had effectively become his breakfast. Because he rarely drank late into the evening, he never truly believed he had developed a serious alcohol problem. Only when his physical condition rapidly deteriorated did he realize how severe the situation had become. In January 2024, Phil Collins was rushed to intensive care. His condition was critical. He remained in hospital for 7 months as doctors fought to save his life. During that terrifying period, his kidneys began to fail and several vital organs started shutting down. The situation became so serious that all 5 of his children were called to his bedside. Doctors even faced discussions about whether life support should continue. Family members and close friends came to say what they feared might be their final goodbyes. Heartbreakingly, Collins remembers none of it. He had no idea that those closest to him genuinely believed they might never see him again. Looking back, Collins admits everything could so easily have ended in tragedy. He had come frighteningly close to death. Thankfully, after months of intensive treatment and rehabilitation, his condition slowly improved. Now aged 75, Phil Collins accepts that he can no longer perform as he once did. His ongoing health problems mean it is highly unlikely he will ever return to playing the drums on stage. Even so, his extraordinary contribution to music continues to receive the recognition it deserves. Later this year, Collins will be honored for his solo career with induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Sadly, because of his fragile health, it appears unlikely that he will be able to perform live during the ceremony. Towards the end of the interview, Collins delivered one final remark that touched the hearts of music fans everywhere. "I wish I could still play," he said quietly. Music has been his entire life ever since he received his first drum kit at the age of 3. Playing the drums was never simply a profession, it became part of who he was. Although illness may have forced him away from the stage, Phil Collins' extraordinary legacy will continue to inspire generations through the timeless songs he created. And perhaps, just like his reconciliation with Paul McCartney, his story reminds us that it is never too late to forgive, to heal old wounds, and to embrace the precious gift of a second chance.